The haunting business trip to Dalat. In October 2023, I was sent on a business trip to Dalat, the misty, poetic city in the highlands of Vietnam. Everyone dreams of visiting it at least once in their life. But I never imagined that this trip would become the most haunting memory of my life. Day 1, cold and strange. I arrived in Dalat on a foggy afternoon. A light drizzle fell, the air was chilly, and while part of me was excited, another part felt uneasy. The company booked me a homestay near a pine forest. It had old French architecture, quaint, quiet, and almost too quiet. The hostess, an older woman in her 60s, thin with deep-set eyes, said only a few words before silently walking away. My room was in the attic. The wooden ceiling creaked every time the wind blew. That first night, I was woken up around 2 a.m. by the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps climbing the stairs. Creak. Creak. The steps stopped right outside my door, and then, silence. I held my breath, not daring to open the door. After a while, the footsteps began again, this time slowly going back down. The next morning, I asked the hostess. Was someone walking upstairs last night? No, dear. You're the only one staying on that floor. She smiled as she spoke, but her eyes didn't. Night 2, dream or reality? Exhausted after a long day of meetings, I crashed into bed. Around midnight, I had a vivid dream. A woman with long black hair covering her face, dressed in white, was standing at the foot of my bed. She whispered, in a childlike voice. You shouldn't stay here. I woke up drenched in sweat, heart pounding. But what terrified me wasn't the dream, it was the bed sheet, which had been pulled halfway off, like someone had just sat there. I was staying alone. No one had entered the room. Night 3, the truth revealed. I planned to move out, but the job wasn't finished yet. That night, I decided to stay awake to see if anything would happen. Around 1 a.m., the room lights suddenly turned off. I grabbed my phone to use its flashlight. In the dim glow, I saw that my door had slowly creaked open, and a pale white figure glided past the hallway, without a sound, without footsteps. I jumped up and chased after it, but the hallway was empty. When I returned to my room, I saw muddy child-sized handprints on the window glass, as if a small hand had pressed against it from the outside. The next morning, I packed my things and decided to leave immediately. The hostess looked at me and said quietly, "This used to be a French colonial house. The youngest daughter of the family drowned in the well out back. Her body was never found. Since then, people say they hear footsteps on the stairs at night." The end. I left Dalat that very afternoon, even though my work was unfinished. Since then, I've never stayed in any homestay that's too old or too quiet, no matter how pretty or peaceful it seems.